This coming Shabbos, we're going to be benching Rosh Chodesh Menachem Av, the month of Av, and Rosh Chodesh is this coming Sunday night. So we'll revisit some Inyane Rosh Chodesh, specifically Yala v'Yavo issues. So the Gemara tells us in the beginning of the fourth parak of Brachas, it tells us about the concept of Tashlumin. The halacha is that we know we have there's a Gemara in Brachas Chavav Amabez which talks about who instituted Tefillah, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, or Keneged Karbanos. And therefore there's a machokas later on we'll see regarding Tefillah's MA-ARIV, whether ARIV is Rishus or a Chova. So the Gemara talks about the concept of Tashlumin. If you miss a Tefillah, you make it up in the following Tefillah. By Miss Shacharis, I could daven 2 Shmona Esrei is Mincha. Miss Mincha, make it up MA-ARIV. Miss MA-ARIV, make it up at Shacharis. And even though Mincha to MA-ARIV is 2 different days, we still say Tefillah Racham and Pi, and it's okay. And we always make up the Tefillah that we're davening now. So as the Gemara tells us on Chavav Amabez, if I miss the Shabbos davening, I miss Mincha Shabbos, but now I'm davening Tefillah Schol, so I daven 2 Tefillah Schol. Or Friday afternoon, I miss the Tefillah Schol, I make it up with Tefillah Shabbos. So Tosas in Brachas Chavav Amid Aleph asked, what about Musaf? How come the Gemara doesn't talk about if you miss Musaf this Tashlumin? So Tosas writes, because when do we say there's Tashlumin? Because basically Tefillah Rachamim and it's always appropriate to ask for Rachamim. But Ava Yomo Bato Karbanos, when you miss the day of the Karban, you can no longer bring it. So therefore there's no din of Tashlumin. So by Musaf there is no Tashlumin. So they point out, so those are and we paskin, there's a discussion that you only have the next tefillah to make it up. So Tosas in the beginning of Chavav Amid Beis discusses the following shaila. So there's a Gemara in Sukkah which we say Baruch Hashem Yom Yom V'chi Mevarchem Yom V'lo Alayla Ela Me'ein HaMa-ARIV. There's a Chiyav on the Yantiv, whenever you have a special day, Chazal said to put it in your tefillah. So on Shabbos we mention Shabbos, on Yantiv we mention Yantiv, and Rosh Chodesh we mention Rosh Chodesh. So we mention Yala v'Yavo. So that we have a chiyuv to incorporate it into our davening or our benching or anything else we're doing. So Tosas asked, what about the following case? Rabbeinu Yehuda writes, what happens if it's, let's say it's Monday, it's Tuesday Mincha, and I daven Mincha and left out Yala v'Yavo. And then I don't remember until Tuesday night. Or in this case, or Monday night, I think it is. It's Sunday night, Monday. So whatever the case is, but you daven Mincha, the last Mincha of Rosh Chodesh, but you left out Yala v'Yavo. So shaila is, do I do a Tashlumin that night, the night after Rosh Chodesh? In other words, everybody agrees if I didn't daven Mincha at all, if I didn't daven Mincha at all, I have to daven MA-ARIV. But what happens if I daven Mincha, I left out Yala v'Yavo? So what is the halacha? So the Gemara tells us, well, it depends what tefillah. If you forget MA-ARIV, if you got Yala v'Yavo at MA-ARIV, Mekadosh and Chodesh Balayla, so therefore you don't have to go back. Pashtus, we'll see, Shacharis and Mincha, if you forget Yala v'Yavo, you have to go back. Musaf, there's no Yala v'Yavo. The whole essence of Musaf is about Rosh Chodesh or Shabbos or Yatzav. So if you forget Yala v'Yavo, let's assume Shacharis and Mincha. Let's just use Mincha as our example. So one has to repeat the Shmona Esrei. So Tosas asks, So that's when it's still Rosh Chodesh. So if you forgot Mincha, even if I daven Mincha and I left out Ya'aleh V'Yavo and it's still Zman HaMincha, everyone agrees I have to daven Mincha over. The question is, what if I don't remember or I didn't realize my mistake until it's nighttime and Rosh Chodesh is over? Should I repeat a second Shmon Esrei? So Rabbeinu Yehuda writes, what's the point? What are you going to gain? You already davened. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you don't repeat. There's no point. And the Rif, Tosfos goes in the Rif, another Rishonim, that you have to repeat Shmon Esrei. You have to daven a Tashluma from Maya. What's in the Kudid? What's the issue? What's the Machlokas Rishonim? If I forget Ya'aleh V'Yavo, I have to repeat or not. So it cuts down to a fundamental Chakir, a fundamental issue. How do we view a Shmona Esrei without Ya'aleh V'Yavo? And when everyone agrees, if you forgot Ya'aleh V'Yavo and Mincha, you have to repeat it. But why do you have to repeat it? Do I have to repeat it because it's like I never daven Mincha? It's like a zero? It's like I didn't daven Mincha? And because since I have to go back over Ya'aleh V'Yavo, it's like I didn't daven Mincha, and therefore that's why I have to go back, or no? You yotze your mitzvah of tefillah. You fulfilled your mitzvah of mincha today. So why am I going back? Because based on Baruch Hashem Yom Yom, you have a mitzvah to mention MA-ARIV, and Chazal said it's likuva, and they said you can't do it in a vacuum. For whatever the reason, Chazal said it must be done in the context of the Shmona Esrei, and therefore, that's why you have to go back. My nafkamina, what's the difference if I say the yotze tefillah, except that you're lacking in the chiyuv haskara, or it's like I'm not yotze tefillah at all? This seems to be the machlokes Rabbeinu Yehuda and the Rif in the Bali Tosfos, whether if one davens mincha and leaves out Ya'aleh V'Yavo, so the halacha is, you go back. What happens if you already missed the Zman? Rosh Chodesh is over. So Rabbi Yehuda says, no, what's the point? And the Rif says, yes, there is a point. So Rabbi Yehuda clearly holds that you yotze your mitzvah of tefillah already. You're only lacking in the chiyuv haskara. Since you can't do the chiyuv haskara anymore because it's no longer Rosh Chodesh, so therefore there's nothing to do. It's muvas, goyachol lisko, and that's it. There's nothing to make up. You're already yotze tefillah. And the Rif apparently learns a Shmona Esrei without Ya'aleh V'Yavo is a zero. It's like if I didn't daven mincha at all, everyone would agree you have to repeat. So too in this case you have to repeat. So it's a major machlokas rishonim. How do we paskin lahalacha if one forgets Ya'aleh V'Yavo and mincha of the last day Rosh Chodesh, first day or last day depending how many days? Do you have to repeat? So really, Me'ikar Adin, we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, that you probably wouldn't have to go back. Rabbeinu Yonah discusses it, and the Mishnah Brura. So the Mishnah Brura says anyway we should make the following Tanai. So Lamaisa, what do? We repeat Shmona Esrei. If it happens, we repeat the Shmona Esrei. At MA-ARIV we make the following Tanai. If the halacha is like Rabbeinu Yehuda, this is a tefillas nedava. And if the halach is like the Rif, so then it's a chiyuv tashlumin. So therefore, that's what we do. It's a sveika dedina, Me'ikar Adin probably like Rabbeinu Yehuda, as we'll see from other issues. But our minig is we daven a second Shmona Esrei as a tefillas nedava, a tefillas, because since it's tefillas rachamim, it's always appropriate to daven. So even though normally we don't volunteer in the Davis today because we could barely have kavana on our regular Shmona Esrei, but in the case of a sveika dedina or in some halachic dispute, so therefore that's when we say one should volunteer tefillas nedava. So that's the halacha. According to Rabbeinu Yehuda, no, you wouldn't have to repeat. There's no tashlumin. And according to the Rif, yes. That's one nafkamina. A second nafkamina could be as follows. So as we mentioned, if you forget to say Ya'aleh V'Yavo at night, you don't have to go back because Ein Mekadosh is a Chodesh Balayla. Tosfos asked in Brachas Chavav, what do you mean you don't have to go back because Ein Mekadosh is a Chodesh Balayla? The Gemara later on or before tells us Tefillas Arv is Rishus. The Tosas asks in Chav Vav and Aleph that if you forget MA-ARIV, you have to make it up at Shacharis. What do you mean you have to make it up at Shacharis? If I didn't have to daven in the first place, if Tfilas Avis is Rishus, so why do I have to daven at all? So therefore, it leads Tosas to conclude that Tfilas Avis Rishus doesn't mean optional, it means lower level Chiyuv. If you have you have ARIV is conflicting with another stronger mitzvah, so then you'd be exempt from MA-ARIV. But all things being equal, one has a chiyuv to daven MA-ARIV. And others, and those who learn Rishus, how do they learn that Gemara? So maybe it says you have to, so you have the option to, we'll get into it, you have the option to volunteer. That you basically have, maybe you're making up a Torah Nedava, etc. We'll get into. But either way, by MA-ARIV, that's why the Gemara has to come on to another reason, because Tfilas Avis is really not a Rishus. And the reason why you don't have to go back is because Yalav Yavu is an integral night. What about Shachar? Shachar, should you go back? And Shacharis and Mincha, if you forget Yalav Yavu, you go back. So there's a Magen Avram. The Magen Avram writes that if you forget to say Yalav Yavu at Shacharis, so it depends. If you just daven Shacharis and left out Yalav Yavu, so I'll go repeat Shacharis and say Yalav Yavu. However, if you already daven Musaf, so then one would not have to repeat Shmona Esrei. The question is it's a no-soap radio. What's the connection? What is davening? You mean if I daven Musaf in the morning first, I could skip Shacharis? What does one have to do with the other? What does davening Musaf have to do with me, whether I have to daven over or not? So clearly we see the Magen Avram is working with Shitas Rabbeinu Yehuda. That one has a Shitas Rabbeinu Yehuda that you Yotzei Tefillah, you're just lacking in the Chiyuv Haskara. So therefore, you're already Yotzei Shacharis, and what's Tefillah? It's all about the Chiyuv Haskara. It's all you're doing is talking about Rosh Chodeshim, you're talking about Rosh Chodesh. Hence, there's no need to go back. But if you didn't daven Musaf yet, then the Magen Avram says to repeat it. According to the Rif, it's ridiculous. What is davening Musaf? If someone didn't daven Shacharis yet, davening Musaf doesn't exempt, because according to the Rif, forgetting Yalav Yavu is not like that. It's like not davening at all, and therefore one would have to go ahead and daven over again, according to the Rif. The Rav Soloveitchik even took it a step further. He wants to say that, and basically, we don't need the Ramah, but the Ramah writes that Bisman Hazeh, we should always be davening over, but if we stopped every time, we'd have to be redavening all day. So therefore, even though we don't usually have the appropriate kavanah for bracha rishona, which could be liikuva, it could be an obstacle, we don't go back. So the question, why don't we? So some gedolim went back. So Ramah writes, Bisman Hazeh, we don't really have the proper kavanah. So Rav Soloveitchik said, really, it's a din lechatchila. Even the Magen Avram agrees that once you daven Musaf, yotze. Even if you remembered before Musaf, he just says, right now, what should you do? But if you didn't listen to the Magen daven Musaf, he disagrees, yotze. There's a machlokes on a lechatchila level. What is the best procedure? So the Magen Avram writes, the best procedure is to daven over Shacharis and then go to Musaf. And Rav Soloveitchik disagrees and says, since you're not going to have kavanah anyway, and when you yotze your mitzvah of Shacharis, one should daven Musaf, so even lechatchila, one should wait, one should not daven over again, and daven Musaf, and then be yotze. In fact, so whenever when people come, they ask me, what should they do? They daven Shacharis, they left out Yalav Yavu, and we haven't daven Musaf yet, so they'll come over to me and say, what should we do? I'll say, I can't answer now. Come back to me after Musaf. So then they'll come back to me after Musaf, and then the Shiloh is over. So obviously, that's the Machlokes, the Magen Avram, and there are others in Rav Soloveitchik, whether Lechatchila, it's better, the stand-up psak seems to be to daven over again, but Rav Soloveitchik has a strong, cogent point that what's the point? You're not going to have kavanah anyway. You get into bracha of atolas, and therefore, so bishlam, when you have no option, you have to daven. But if you have an option to be yotze to a musaf and not have to daven shacharis over again, so he thinks it's better. But this issue of the Magen Avraham is based on Rabbeinu Yehuda. According to the Rif, the whole Shiloh doesn't even begin. And the third nafkamina is as follows. The third nafkamina is, what about the following case? The Gemara talks about in brachas. What happens? So really, strictly speaking, let's say you were davening, whatever, tefillah, shacharis, whatever it may be, and you forgot Yalav Yavo. So the Gemara says you have to go back. So the Gemara over there, the Rishonim discussed, it depends if you're davening b'tzibor or you're davening b'yachid. So it says, if you're davening b'tzibor, so then you don't have to go back, you just listen to the chazan. And he will, and you listen to his silent, you listen to his public Shmoneh, and therefore you're yotze. And other Akwarim say, but it's better off davening over again because it's hard to hear. You have to hear the whole Shmoneh. There's too much talking. You can't concentrate. So that's the Achronim right. That if you forget, so Tosas goes on the Baal Hilchas Gedolos that it could be, based on the Gemara, that you could be yotze with the Chazaras Hashatz of the Chazan. So Tosas asks, what's the Bahag talking about? The Gemara at the end of Rosh Hashanah writes that the Gemara at the end of Rosh Hashanah writes that it's only for the Eino Baki. The one who doesn't know how to read, only he can rely on the Chazaras Hashatz. But someone else can't rely on it. So, how could the Baal Hilchas Gedolos say you could be yotze your mitzvah through Chazaras Hashatz? So that's how we can explain it. It's the same. Clearly, the Bahag is working with Shitas Rabbeinu Yehuda. That really you're already yotze. So to be yotze tefillah, that's the Gemara Rosh Hashanah. It's only for the Am Shabbasadas people who can't read. But if you could daven yourself, and then obviously if you already daven and left out Yalav Yavo, that means you could daven. So therefore, it's not an issue. You have to, you'd have to repeat. So the Bahag writes, you could be yotze with the Chazaras Hashatz. Why? Because you're already yotze your mitzvah of tefillah. To be yotze yechiyav haskara, that's enough. And obviously, the Rif would hold no. There's nothing to talk about. The yechiyav haskara, if you're lacking the yechiyav haskara, it's like you didn't daven at all. You didn't daven at all, so therefore, if you didn't daven at all, so therefore you would have to go back because you can't be yotze with the Chazaras, with the Chazaras Hashatz. And that's it. Perhaps also they want to point out there's a steer in the Rambam, one place in the Rambam says you need kavanah for the whole davening, the whole tefillah, and another Rambam writes you only need kavanah for bracha rishona. So there's a whole, Chazon Ish, but there's a famous Rav Chaim, and that's Rav. So Rav Chaim wants to make a distinction in different types of kavanah. There's the kavanah of Peresh Hamilim, and there's the kavanah knowing every word you're saying, and there's the kavanah of Omei Lefnei Hashchina. There's the kavanah of standing in the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And you're davening. So Rav Chaim wants to say, when it comes to the klal of Omei Lefnei Hashchina, that applies to whole davening. If you think you're playing football and you don't know you're davening, you're not yotze. But regarding Perush Hamilim, that's only, at least you should have Perush Hamilim for bracha rishona. So that's the famous, Rav Chaim. So some want to say perhaps it's tied into the issue here as well, because if you're not Omei Lefnei Hashchina, If you don't have that kavanah, that means you're not yotzei tefillah at all. Called tefillah below kohen kaviyah, and therefore, perhaps you'd have to daven over again because it's not considered a tefillah. But that's the issue regarding Ya'aleh v'yavo. How does one view a Shemona Esrei without Ya'aleh v'yavo? Is it you yotzei tefillah but you're lacking the chiyuv askara, or it's a zero? And that's the nafkamina is whether if you forgot Ya'aleh v'yavo the last mincha, do you have to repeat 2 Shemona Esreis MA-ARIV? We go with the Svega Dedina, we make a Tanai with the Tfilas Nadava. The second one, the Magen Avraham, whether if you remember after you daven Musaf, do you still have to daven over again? Shacharis, the Rabbeinu Yehuda, no. The Rif, yes. The Rav says even Lechatchila, daven be yotzei with Musaf. And the third issue is the Bahag, can you be yotzei the Chiyuv Askar you left out during the Chazaras Hashat? So the Bahag says yes, others say no. The issue is if you're yotzei the mitzvah of Tefillah and you're only being yotzei with the Chiyuv Askara, so that you can be yotzei in the Chazaras Hashat. It's the only thing you can't be yotzei if you want to be yotzei your own personal Tefillah and you have the ability to daven. So then that's when you can't be yotzei with Chazaras Hashat.